Address all of you this afternoon. I want to first of all welcome, but not only the distinguished table here, but Roberto's family who's traveled from some distance. I understand you got some psychology graduate has some family that's traveled some distance, and I'm just pleased that they could all make it and join us for really a festive time to celebrate this accomplishment by Roberto. Roberto's been with me a couple of years. And it's gone by very, very fast. And I've enjoyed having Roberto. He's been a real joy in the lab. But let me tell you, without going on and on, I could certainly talk for a long time about what Roberto has accomplished. He has a very elegant and interesting and very diverse title, Silicon Nanotubes and Selected Investigations in Energy and Biomaterial Applications. So, let's have a quiz, shall we?
Oh, I didn't allow for that. That was not part of it.
So, when you think of silicon, what do you think of? Anybody? Anybody in the room? Even psychology? Computers. Thank you, Dr. Mellon. Computers, because silicon is the backbone of the modern device industry, electronic device industry. But as we'll see, it has interesting things in energy and biomaterials. So this is, you know, you'd say, it's energy, health, what's a nanotube, and why should I care? So Roberto was extensively involved in learning new methods and fabricating new methods for making elemental silicon nanotubes. Now, there are two interesting parts about nanotubes that make them relevant to energy and to health. And so the first one is that we can make them with different thicknesses. We can make them with different inner diameters. We can put different molecules on the outer surface of these nanotubes. And we can load other things inside the nanotube. So we got large surface area out here, large compartment to stuff inside. Okay? So you'd say, that's great, Jeff, fine, good, whatever. So why was that important? Well, if you're interested in health, if you're interested in drugs, and if you're interested in delivering drugs with lower side effects, if you put a molecule that tells it to go into a very specific location on the outer surface, and then put something useful inside, then you can do, hopefully you can lower side effects and create fewer problems and cure more serious diseases with lower doses. And so this is just a cartoon to represent a type of molecule that Roberto successfully implemented on the outer surface of a nanotube, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in a minute. And he was able to load a different molecule in the interior. Now, if you're interested in energy, as others in the college are interested in, batteries are an important problem. I tell my students, if you ever want job security, go into the battery business, because the perfect battery will never be made. But silicon and lithium are a good combination, and this graph shows you a little bit why. You don't have to look at everything, but just look at the fact that this value called specific capacity is in units of amperes, basically units of current, hours, and per unit mass. Silicon breaks the rule. It goes as far to the right as you can, approaching over 4,000 milliamp hours per gram. And Roberto made a battery that hit that limit, and that's pretty cool. The next thing is in solar cells, right? Solar energy. And so solar energy, right now the state of the art is silicon solar cell at about 25% efficiency. Roberto was able to fabricate, and I'll show you some pictures in a minute, of a new class of materials called perovskites. Now, the first perovskite solar cell was reported in 2009, and their efficiencies are now above 20%. So in the 5.5 years, we've gone, or basically 6 years, we've gone over, what it took silicon to go 30 years. And I think we'll see greater progress coming from there, and I'm blocking folks here, and I apologize. All right, so let me give you 3 examples from what Roberto did, and this is all published work. So in the area of batteries, Roberto was able to create a battery that we did in class. Oh, sorry, one other thing that I meant to amplify here. Roberto's research was extremely interdisciplinary and international. Okay, now Roberto obviously hails from Mexico, and he's very proud of his heritage, as am I proud of him. But this work not only involved U.S.-Mexico, it involved Israel, in Hebrew University of Jerusalem, in Marseille, in France, at Marseille University, and in Austria, at Karl Franz University in Graz, which is southeastern of Austria. So Roberto is interfaced with work in all of these areas. Anyway, in work done in collaboration with the French group, Roberto, in a first discharge of lithium insertion experiments, was able to generate batteries that could reach above 4,200 milliamp hours per gram. The problem was we lost a bit on the second round, right? But once going up to beyond 30, it's a very stable operation. So we have a ways to go yet. Don't get excited. Don't go out and buy stock in lithium silicon batteries yet. But it's a really promising development, and we have further refinements that are underway. The next thing is to create these perovskite nanostructures. He made these little rods that stuffed inside silicon nanotubes. So he used the nanotube like as a ship in a bottle to constrict the formation of these perovskite nanostructures. And what's interesting is that by making them different sizes, okay, Roberto was able, they could sort of or emit green light or red light. They can tune throughout the spectrum. And so we're now trying to build prototype solar cells based on these very small perovskite, which by perovskite I mean methylammonium, lead, bromide, iodide, and various combinations thereof. So we're excited about where this developments are going, and we published this work again with our collaborations with our friends in Jerusalem. Finally, the last thing I'll tell you about is drug delivery. Now, everybody in the room, or most everybody, has used YouTube, right? So if you go to YouTube and you type in silicon nanotube, you won't really see a picture like this or like this. What you'll see is a picture of Roberto with a magnet, or you'll see his hands, you won't actually see his face. But you'll see Roberto taking a magnet and pulling an assembly of silicon nanotubes loaded with iron oxide. You'd say, Jeff, isn't that rust? Well, yeah, but it's nanoparticle rust. Turns out that, and you'll see Roberto, it's there, gets a few hits. Take a look at it. We encourage you to do that. These nanotubes look like this. They look like spears. Okay, and the insides are loaded with these little tiny iron oxide balls that are super paramagnetic and that allow you to draw around with magnets. So, well, Jeff, other than a child's toy, what is that good for? And it's useful for an area called magnetic field assisted drug delivery. And so the idea, you inject, pull a magnet, right? Sometimes you need a big magnet, sometimes you need a small magnet. And then you load the drug of interest, and again at lower doses, on the surface, on the outer surface of that nanotube, and there you go. So Roberto's got this world's expert. I don't think anybody else has been able to do the number of studies. We've published several papers in this regard, and this is of which is probably more recent on the magnetic field assisted drug delivery. So finally, what a record. So Roberto has the record. In my group, I've had more than 20 graduate students in a long time. And Roberto has published 12 papers. And so these are in relatively prominent journals. So Roberto, felicidades. Again, very warm. My warmest wishes for your future. I think you have a very bright future ahead. And I thank you for all your hard work. And I thank you for your parents who did a good job in telling you how to live. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm thankful for Roberto.
Yeah.
Okay, hurry up.
This is pretty
Please.
good.
for now.
Very cool.